the doctor just looked at us and said, your husband will never walk again.
For a while there, I was trying to decide whether it was worth living. I think all of us wonder if we're enough.
It was just like too much for one person to handle.
While I'm still unconscious, I fell off the x-ray table and broke my neck again.
How are you not like mad at God? Or are you? Your life didn't turn out how you thought it was, how it thought it would, I imagine.
Not even close.
I want to get a view on what you thought your life was going to be, and then let's go into when it changed.
Well, I think I was probably like everyone else. I just, growing up, I thought I would get married at some point and hopefully some hottie. And then...
well, you got that.
I did. Yeah. I did
Thanks,
get that.
Eric. Thanks.
And then, have a good, successful job that fulfilled me in some way, and have a family and kids and, the dog, whatever it is, and just kind of have all that and have a good life. Knowing that you'll have some ups and downs, but that was my goal.
Yeah, like kind of a quote unquote normal life, right?
Yeah, nothing.
I mean, you wouldn't suspect anything would derail that in any way, but something did derail that, right? And let's get into that. Let's get into how old you were and the situation that put you in a wheelchair.
I don't know if derail is the right word for
it. What's a better word?
It was blown up,
just obliterated that plan.
A little dynamite on the whole deal. So the winter of 2001, and 3 days before Christmas, I went up snow skiing at Mount Bachelor with her younger brother. And while we were up on the ski hill, I went off a jump and I hit it wrong. And I ended up 30 feet in the air and rotated backwards and came down on my neck.
Oh my gosh.
And in that crash, my C7 vertebrae, the lowest part of your neck, that vertebrae completely shattered and broke everywhere and sent little bone fragments into my neck.
So you were immediately paralyzed?
I was immediately paralyzed.
Like you crashed and you couldn't feel down past that
vertebrae? Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a bad wreck, and I knocked the wind out of myself. And I remember sitting there looking at my legs, thinking, get up. I mean, I'm just in this fetal position looking at him going, why can't I move? What's the problem here? Like, I always get up. Every time I fall, I get up. Why can't I get up this time?
And so we drove to the hospital, and when we got there, and I got to see him for the first time, he couldn't really move anything. And I gave him a big hug, and I just said, hey, we're going to be okay. We're going to, you're going to get through this. But at the same time, he couldn't hardly move anything, which was so strange, right? Within an hour or so, the doctor came in, and we were in this dark room. I can remember my dad was there with us, and he just looked at us and said, your husband's going to be a quadriplegic, and he will never walk again.
Oh my gosh.
And I just thought, you're in the wrong room. You're not talking to the right, this isn't supposed to be part of our plan. How can this be happening to a 24-year-old girl and a 26-year-old guy who have two little kids? How is life gonna, continue? It was it was such a life-altering moment that it's just almost paused in Kodak moment in my mind, because it's it's just such a turning point.
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts at this time while you can only blink? What's going through your head?
For a while there, I was trying to decide whether it was worth living. Not that I was going to commit suicide, because I couldn't.
I can't do anything.
Blink myself to death, not going to happen. But it was a lot of me trying to figure out, do I want to live? Is it, and not in a selfless way or selfish way. It was more of a selfless way. And the other side of it going, it's better for my kids and my wife if I'm not here.
Oh man. Because
I don't want to be this burden that I lay in the bed the rest of my life, or I can't do anything. I can't help provide. I can't be with the kids. I can't play with the kids. I can't go to the park. I can't. My son and I were just getting to that point when I got home from work. He was starting, he could crawl faster, he could start to walk, and he would come down the hall and jump on me and we'd play. It's like we had this great bond that we were building. And there's a lot of me that looks at that and goes, he needs a dad who can keep doing that. He needs a dad that can, go play basketball with him and dunk on him and do all that kind of stuff. And my daughter needs someone who will dance with her at her wedding. And can stand up and do that. That's what they need. My wife needs someone that when she falls asleep on the couch, I can pick her up and take her in and put her in bed. Take the trash out, mow the lawn, do all that kind of stuff. That's what she needs. And I won't be able to provide that. I don't know. I think all of us wonder if we're enough. Am I enough for my wife? Am I enough for the kids? And do I bring enough value into our family and into our lives? And at that point, there was obviously a huge hole of, I don't know if I'll ever be able to make that gap fill in. If it's all right,
yeah.
I think there's something Heather should share here, because
Please.
A lot of times people look at me because I'm the one in the wheelchair, so
Yeah.
they want to hear my story or whatever. We don't give enough credit to the caregiver, the spouse, the parents, whoever it is that are dealing with it from their side. You should share what you had to deal with that.
Yeah, I think after hearing that he was going to be a quadriplegic, I was just like, what are we going to do, right? So I go home, and at the time, I still had a nursing baby. And so I'm just laying there in bed with baby there, and Senia, our 2-year-old, is also in the room with us or with me. And I just kept thinking, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? And once they had fallen asleep, I just felt like I was going to crawl out of my skin. It was just too much for one person to handle. And but after I cried it out for a while and talked to my parents, and they were so gracious to probably barely be staying awake because of the tragedy day. I went back to my room, and I had very few hours before I had to get up again. But I felt so driven and prompted to just say, you know what? There's 2 words that you need to take back to Nate's hospital room. And that is, we believe. And so we inscribed it on a poster board. And
back up. How did this come to you? This
inspiration.
Just
Yes.
God just felt it.
Yep.
Okay.
The words just
we believe.
came.
Okay.
We believe. And I put it on a poster board, and I took it to Nate's hospital room, and I just said, listen, this is our motto. We believe, and we're going to do it.
I remember in the middle of the nights when the curtains were shut on the ICU room, and it's just me in there, and all your thoughts are like demons coming at you, trying to figure out, again, like we talked, do I want to live? Should I live? Who's better with me here or not? And all that. I could look over at a picture of the Savior and think, if he went through what he did and the pain that he suffered, I can make it through this. And that many times helped me to get through that night or get through that next 5 minutes, and to just do one little step at a time, and to know that, okay, I'm choosing to live for 1 more minute. I'm choosing to live for another hour. I'm choosing that I want to see Heather and the kids tomorrow. So I'm going to at least live to then. And I can deal with this pain till then. And then you can make that choice again. Too many times I think we always look so far out ahead of us that we forget you've got to choose now. And don't stress too much about what's 5 or 10 years away. Just think about today. We'll say over the next year.
Okay.
I'd gotten back. We worked very hard through therapy. We fully believed that I would walk again. I don't know how well that walk would have been, but that I would be standing.
Right.
And I came down with pneumonia. And during the middle of the night, because of the pneumonia, my blood oxygen level dropped so low that I went unconscious in my sleep.
Ooh.
And they said that I would have died in my sleep probably had Heather not woke up in the middle of the night, and she felt prompted, I'm not sure why, but she felt prompted to wake me up. And she couldn't wake me up. So we call the ambulance. The ambulance comes, takes me into the hospital early in the morning, and I'm on the x-ray table propped up a little bit so they can get a shot of my lungs to see how bad it is. And while I'm still unconscious, and it's just me and the x-ray tech in the room, Heather's sitting on a chair right outside the door, I fell off the x-ray table and broke my neck again.
Oh my gosh. This story is absurd. I can't even believe this is happening. So you broke another vertebrae higher than the previous one? And what effects did that have?
So that ended up, I lost the use of my hands. I can't move my fingers. I can't move my triceps. And I can't move anything from the chest down.
So you lost basically all progress you had made.
So I'd lost, half of everything that I'd gained had been now ripped out from under me.
Okay. How are you not like mad at God? Or are you?
Well, I remember when Heather told me, because they had to give me oxygen and kind of get me back to consciousness. And I remember we were, again, maybe I don't remember it correctly, but I was in a separate hospital room. They're waiting to transport me to a different hospital for surgery. I remember being cold and the lights were off, and Heather came walking in, and I don't know how long I'd been awake, and she told me what had happened, and I broke my neck again, and that they were getting things ready to move me to a different hospital for surgery.
And I mean, really, like, that's the worst thing you could be saying to somebody who had already been through that.
Yeah.
We had that hope of him walking and function and all that. And just to hear the doctor tell me, oh, he's broke his neck again, we need to go to surgery. I'm just like, are you, like, what? Like, you almost can't be sad at the moment because it's just not real in your mind.
Yeah.
2 broken necks, like, who does that? Who experiences
Nate Ogden
2
does.
broken necks,
You're gonna do something,
right?
be the best.
Hey, you're a special guy. Yeah.
Oh, it's just crazy. But I mean, the amazing part is, and maybe it's totally naive of us, I'm not sure, but I told him what had happened, and he just looked at me and he said, "Bring it on." That's
Wow.
the words that came out of his mouth. Bring it on. And I was like, all right, giddy up. I guess we're in this for the ride again.
I guess the way I look at it is not that you want struggles and challenges, but the more you have, I believe the closer you are to becoming like Christ. And if our goal here on this earth is to become more like the Savior, and he suffered everything and understands what all of us went through, then the closest we can become like him is to experience a lot of those lows and then work our way out of them, work our way through them. And then you're going to get hit with something else. And that brings you closer to what the Savior actually understands. And the other part of the Savior's purpose is to be able to use that knowledge and help others around you. Not with sympathy, but with empathy. And the things I've gone through have allowed me to then affect others with empathy, with total understanding of what they're going through, instead of just, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's saying, I truly get it.
Yeah.
How can I help?
Like, how do you stay with the Savior during the low times so that suffering has meaning?
I always go back to that and try and think, what's the big picture of this? Why did this happen to me? For many people, why did I go through a divorce? Why did I lose that job? Why? Some of it's our own problems that cause it. I think that some things do happen because they're divinely supposed to. And I do think that both those neck breaks are divinely supposed to happen. It doesn't mean it was easy or is easy, but they were divinely orchestrated. And I think that helps me get through. And when I think another important message to me that I share with others is we don't get to normally see why that trial happened or why this big event happened in our life, we don't always get to see what the real reasoning is behind it immediately. So next month will be 22 years since I broke my neck. 5 years ago, we started a nonprofit that now we've been able to take in 5 years' time over 4,000 wheelchairs to 8 different countries around the world.
Heather, I want to ask you the same question. I imagine there was a lot of low moments for you, like just feeling overburdened and hopeless. And so what did you do to find meaning in that suffering with the Savior?
My family was everything, of course. And a lot of time on my knees. Like, praying was the only thing that got me through it. And service was the other way. So we would go and do the most random acts of service to others, and that's how we kept doing it. So, like, serving others is the cure for my lowest of lows. And so, like, honestly, my family can know if, like, sometimes I'm struggling, I'm out serving, I'm out doing, I'm out giving, and figuring out ways that we can brighten others, because seeing them get excited or having hope come to somebody else really fuels me. It really lets me know, like, man, like, you're lightening their load, and by doing that and seeing their joy and their happiness, it lightens our load or my load.
I think a lot of times we want so much to do things on our plan, and we don't allow the Lord to make it work in His time. And so because of all that, we ended up starting our own nonprofit, Share the Hope. And so now, we have been able to, over the last 5 years, take 4,200 wheelchairs to 8 different countries on 3 different continents. Like, there's one guy that really touched me. His name is Kwesi, and this was in Africa. And we got out of this little bus that we were in, and we're trying to find out, because addresses aren't really a thing back over there. And we're trying to figure out, we've got a guide kind of getting us back to where this guy lives. And we literally went through a garbage dump, walked through a garbage dump. Some of it's on fire, just stuff everywhere. And then we get to the other side, and there's this unbelievably poor, rundown neighborhood. And we're sitting there waiting for this guy, and pretty soon he comes, kind of crawling on his knees down this little dirt aisle that is rocks and glass and everything, and his legs are deformed, and he would pick himself up on his hands and swing his legs in front of him back down on his knees, and he's comes down, and he's just got the biggest smile on his face, and he's so happy. And he couldn't talk well, but he was the happiest guy in the world. And I remember sitting there as we lifted him up, and we put him in his chair, and he's sitting next to me, and we're kind of grabbing hands and communicating just in love. And I thought, how can someone living in these conditions with his struggles be so happy? And the more we learned about him, he believes in God, and he's happy with that, and he realizes that whatever is given me, I can make the best of it. And not much had been given him, but to him, he was so blessed, and I learned a lot from him. Kwesi was one of my heroes over the last 5 years, as we've been able to travel the world to do this.
Wow. Thank you. I just keep going back to that moment, like how you felt, is life worth living, to these moments. And I know you have countless more. I want to hear a few more, to having these realizations, and then now you sharing your story with so many people and the beautiful lives that you've created. And you give all credit to God, and how empowering that is to me and others who are struggling and sometimes can't see, the sun behind the clouds. So thank you.
It's been 22 years for me to look back and finally say, this is why I broke my neck. because I wouldn't have started a nonprofit. I wouldn't be giving out wheelchairs. That wouldn't have been my thing. But it's something that I live and I know and I'll fight for because I get it. And we all have to find what that is. What is it that you get and understand, and how can you fight for it to help others?
Yeah, that's incredible. What's one of your favorite stories? Or you had some really crazy ones.
There's so many
I
good
know.
ones.
Like what's one of your favorites, or just like an interesting one that you?
I would say probably one also in Africa. And I mean, when we arrived to Africa to deliver wheelchairs, the group that was supposed to help us, because it was in the middle of COVID, did not have anybody
To receive them there.
to receive.
Okay.
So when we show up with 35 travelers ready to do a humanitarian project, and there's nobody there to do this humanitarian project for, like, as the leader of, the trip, it's a little crazy. And even though it's hard and I want to make sure that the trip goes well for the people that are with us, it's not a coincidence. So we need to go figure out why this happened. And so we just loaded up the truck and we just started heading out. And one of the drivers had a friend that had been in a car accident 5 years earlier. And we arrived to their little village, and everything is dirt. Everything. There's no trees around. I mean, nothing. It's just so desolate. And these little one-room houses. And we went up to Jacob Tutu's house, and he had been laying on his stomach for 5 years. I saw his Bible there, and it was the most marked up Bible I had ever seen in my life. He believed in God.
Wow.
That is what has sustained him, was him and his belief in God. And he had laid there for so long, he couldn't even bend to get in a wheelchair. Like, his joints had just kind of shortened and fused in a way that he couldn't do it. We figured out he needed a surgery, and we sent it out to our communities and said, hey, we need $3,000 to be able to get this surgery. And within 3 days, we had the $3,000 to get him his surgery. And within 3 months, he had the surgery and was rehabbing and was in a wheelchair.
Wow.
And for me, I was just like, those are like divine coincidences, right? They happen for a reason. And if I feel like there's so many things now that pop up like that in our lives that if we stop to question it, then others don't get that blessing.
Hope. I think hope is what helps you survive the tough times. A hope that it will get better. A hope that my life will change. A hope that I will be loved. A hope that I'll get married. A hope that I'll have kids. A hope that I can become closer to God. Like, that's the last resort, I think. So if you feel that you're not worth anything, if you feel that nobody loves you, if you feel that you're in so much pain you just can't handle it one more day, don't give up hope. When you give up hope, I think you lose everything. So hold on to that no matter what. Fight for that. Make that a priority in your life, is to always believe that it will change in the direction that you want it to. And that whatever's going in your life right now, it's happening for a purpose. So keep pushing through it. And you'll get there.
Well, coming from you, that holds a lot of weight. So thank you. Thank you both so much. I'm going to link to Chair the Hope in the show notes. So if anyone out there feels prompted to get involved and to donate and to support and potentially go on a trip with you guys, I mean, the Ogdens are amazing people. We'll link to that. But thank you for being lights in this world. I know that it's just going to get brighter. And I'm honored to know you. And thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thanks, Sarah.
It's been fun.